So you're not Adan.
No, I'm Kimberly.
Adan is away, as you can see. And he didn't have time to see the movie we're about to review. Kim did. So, based on Rotten Tomatoes, at the time of this review, there's no audience score, but for critic score, it is 81%. Guys, this is our review of the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. I am Angel,
I'm Kimberly.
where we give you a review at least once a week. Spoiler alert, we saw it a week in advance. Luckily,
Yes.
we're able to do that at AMC. Let's give credit where credit is due. Written by Paul Tomasi, Eric Johnson, Arash ML, Guy Ritchie, who also directed it, based on the book by Damian Lewis. You have here starring in it. Now, a lot of names. Let's get the main peeps. So Henry Cavill, as we know him as formerly Superman. Alan Ritchson, we all know him as Reacher. Alex Pettyfer, Aiza Gonzalez, and I think she was in the Mr. and Mrs. Smith show. It was like the opening scene. She was one of the Janes. You have Babs. Okay, I can't say this one. Alusanmoken. That's a little tough. Robin Hood, the Prince of Thieves. Gary Ells, also from the Princess Bride. As You Wish. Hero Fennis Tiffin.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Golden. He's from also in that movie, Crazy Rich Asians.
Yep.
Roy Kinnear, Till Schwingling. He was one of the Russians. Freddie Fox, we know him from Slow Horses.
Yes.
He was on there.
Mm-hmm.
And the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Like I said, we saw it a week in advance. I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it?
Yes, very much.
Yes, very much. Now, why did you enjoy it?
I think I enjoyed it a lot in the sense of the action, and the fact that it was based on a true story.
Right. Yeah, it was based on a true story. But the way they promoted on the movies and the trailers, it was like a bunch of misfits, a bunch of like crazy people hired for a mission. And I guess that's true in a way. They're like unethical.
Mm-hmm.
They accomplish the goal, but they don't listen to our authority well. They are outside the box. It felt like, to me, Inglourious Bastards, but in the Guy Ritchie approach, a little more comical. Even though in Inglourious Bastards there are some comical moments, there were a lot of intense moments.
There were a lot of tense moments in this movie.
Yes, but not as much. Like you had a main villain that they were trying to trick or seduce, what have you. They had that too in Glorious Bastards, but that villain in the Glorious Bastards was like freaking like Palpatine level.
And actually, the Nazi Heinrich,
He's in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny
Yeah.
that he's like kind of like full circle in that aspect where he plays like one of the heroes in Inglourious Bastards, where here he is now the villain.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how he felt about that, but able to play both.
Well, when you see him, he has it like a sinister look.
Well, he always does. He always does. Yes,
So
he has that.
it would be unusual for him not to play a villain.
Right, but I'm talking about like since he's of a German descent.
Yeah.
And he played in Glorious Bastards a German that's against Hitler and the Nazi regime, where here he is now playing that. And I know when you're an actor, you try to play the role, regardless of how you feel personally. Acting is a job. You have to be that person, like it or not, to be able to be believable, right?
Yeah, you have to portray whatever side you're representing in that role.
But still, in a sense, like the work you had to do to get prepared. I thought everything was great. It was violent, but not on the same level as Inglourious Bastards, but there is violence, and it's pretty. In the beginning, you see it right away. I do like the cast. I think the cast had a great chemistry.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I like that there's two stories, or three stories actually. You have Henry Cavill and his crew. You have
Marjorie.
Marjorie, yes, Aiza. Yeah, Gus was Henry Cavill's character's name. And then Marjorie, yes. I like her thing dynamic too, where they're both on the same mission, but in a different approach how to accomplish it. They're setting things up. They're laying down the
The groundwork.
the groundwork. Well, especially her. She's doing that more. She's doing more of the
Well, they have to prepare for Henry Cavill and his crew to do what they need to do.
right. But what I'm saying is like I feel that she was more in danger. They were in danger too, since they were not sanctioned. They had to avoid the Nazis, and they
And
have
the British,
the British. So there's a time where they're like trying to sail because they're on the water, and they have to travel in
which the British and
between.
the Germans were
Right.
fighting against each other. So who if they were to get captured by either one,
Well, yeah. So they get captured by the British, they get arrested, but if they get captured by the
the Nazis,
Nazis,
they
they
get
get
killed.
killed. So yes, and but she is also in her. She's like in the lion's den.
Oh yes.
And then she was at one point threatened with him, who had a like kind of like bondage in the extreme.
Yeah, because he
Well, he
when they
handcuffed.
first approach him or meet him or see him, he actually finished torturing or killing.
Right, but in the way the guy is naked, he's bloody. To
I think it was
his,
a female.
we thought it was I thought it was a black person.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I believe it was a female.
Oh, I thought it was a male. I also like too because there's a hint that Alan Ritchson's character,
Mm-hmm.
the Sweden, excuse me, that he could be gay.
Mm-hmm.
They imply that, and it was very subtle. It could be like as if that he is gay, or that just guys talking bull crap,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that.
Kind of like on the lines of flirting,
Well, not just flirting, but just talking shit to one another,
hmm
and like
making innuendos.
yes, but it's just like what some guys do, which I feel weird, but weird like why. Anyway, now there are some good moments, like the action scenes. There's some really good things, like even though it's based on a true story, and movies sometimes take elaboration of creative freedom or creative freedom on how to tell the story. That one where they infiltrated a camp to
Mm-hmm.
save their man during the day,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it's like, come on. Usually, when you see someone infiltrate a camp or what have you, it's at night,
Yeah, so they can't be seen.
right? But at the same token, it does make sense during the day because you don't expect it.
Mm-hmm.
People are just going around their day. So now they're not on guard as much because again, it's daylight. Who's going to attack during the day?
Yeah, but I also think that they were under a certain time constraint because that was the whole issue with the movie is that they had to be at a certain area at a certain time frame.
Was it then or was it another point? Because I just think that they were just setting stuff up, and the Sweden was just in a rush, or he didn't care. He just went for it,
Hmm.
and they just follow suit. So I can't remember because I know there was a point where they had like the timetable had to be moved up.
But that's how he was on the ship too. It's like he was full steam ahead, killing people. And remember when he went into the one area where the crew was locked up, and he just went in there and killed all of them.
Well, I think that's what he was going to do anyway. I think that's what he wanted to do. I think they were locking, they were like setting it up, like they get closed in. They didn't have
Mm.
the weaponry, and all the stuff, and so he just came in, and I think. But I know
Yeah,
there's,
I see it. I didn't portray it that way. I just thought that it was just him going doing, going by his own.
well, they said like him, he was a exceptional marksman with the bow,
Mhm.
and he was very good with
Knives.
the knives. So
Which that was one thing that I read where in Reacher, the character doesn't like knives.
so it was a counter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alan Richardson he's huge. Jesus Christ, he is freaking huge. So, obviously, he did this movie like either right after Reacher season 2 or during or whenever because guy is freaking huge.
That's what she said.
Is there a favorite moment that you had?
A couple of my favorite moments was Marjorie
Okay,
in the way she interacted, and she had to play very smart, very cool. She's trying to manipulate and also trying to fly under the radar with Heinrich. and
Hmm.
she's trying to convince him that she is who she is trying to portray that she's trying to be. So I think her little back and forth with Heinrich, I think that was pretty good.
No, well, it's chess.
Yeah.
So he recognizes game. Game recognizes game.
Mhm.
What he saw in her before realizing who she is or what she is that he saw in her his intellectual equal,
Mhm.
regardless of being woman or male. And he was like, a game is afoot, and so they'll play with riddles and
Mhm.
things of that nature to test each other's intellect. And that was cool. That was
Yeah.
cool. And to know that she was also a herself in her own right an exceptional marksman. She can shoot, and with almost any weapon in her hand, firearm in her hand, she can shoot
Mhm.
with great accuracy.
Except for a grenade.
Grenade? No, no, no. She didn't use it.
No,
She
but she was going to.
right, and the guys reacted right, but just to
Yeah.
see, like, do you want to see more or whatever? They don't want to take the chance, of course. For me, my favorite moment was. I mean, it's kind of tough. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, there were
There's
so many good scenes.
right, and then when they infiltrate, when they're trying to take the boat, when they're
Oh, the scene with Henry Cavalli where
Caval.
Caval when
And
they
no, Henry Cavill, not Cavalli. No, he's not Italian. Henry Cavill.
okay.
Henry Cavill. Jesus Christ, I'm saying it now.
In the beginning where they bring him in and tell him about what they need him to do, and he sees the cigars, the
Oh yeah, so
liquor, he sees the
you're
girl.
seeing him. Yes, when he's introduced.
Mhm.
So you're seeing he's kind of like not really a klepto because he's asking permission to take,
Yeah.
and he's like telling them, or he's saying, "I like that jacket." And so since he knows that they need him,
Mhm.
he can get away with it. Or if he likes that jacket, he'll take it off the dead body and he'll use it. So it's kind of like he'll wear a dead man's clothes.
Mhm.
No problem. Yeah, that was kind of cute. But he was a klepto in the way of, oh, yeah. So before that, so this is based on a true story, but also the origin of James Bond.
Oh, yeah.
This is,
The
yes,
Fleming.
because Ian Fleming, the guy
Yeah.
who played in Slow Horses,
Mm.
he is Ian Fleming, and Ian Fleming is the author, the creator of James
James
Bond,
Bond.
and Henry Cavill's character, Gus, is the inspiration for James Bond.
Yes.
So that's kind of like cool, like multiple birds in one stone with one stone. That we're seeing how this mission was done and who was hired, and how that James Bond that we
Mhm.
all love and been incarnated by many actors through many stories, many movies, many books is how it all started. So
Yeah.
that was really cool.
And how he introduced himself because he introduced himself as Fleming or
No, he would introduce himself.
or he said it the way like James Bond would say Bond, James
Or
Bond.
Fleming, Ian Fleming.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't him though, was it? It was but no, the Carrie Ells, he introduced them, said this is so and so, this is so and so. So maybe
Yeah.
another time he did, maybe
But
he
I
did.
think when he went to shake his hand, he
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
he
can't remember.
repeated it, but he said it the way James Bond would say his name. Because I think you even pointed that
Did
out.
I point it out?
Yeah.
It's been a couple of days since we saw it. But no, I thought that was really cool. I think I'm the only one that reacted
Mhm.
in the theater. And the theater was pretty not packed, but it was pretty good, well attended in a sense on a was it Saturday,
Yeah.
7 p.m., just one showing.
Since you bring up the crowd and the reaction, they did react the same way when Henry was on the intercom with I forgot with the other boat or something like that, and he was talking and everything, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, static, static, static," and he said, "Oh, just fuck
Oh,
off."
right, right. So yeah, when he's doing, it felt like and I always do this. I always compare to Star Wars. It felt like when Han Solo is talking to the Empire when they
Hmm.
infiltrate the Death Star,
Yeah,
and they're calling and say, "Hey, what's going on? Nothing here, nothing here, nothing's going on.
everything's okay.
Everything's fine. How are you?"
Yeah.
I kind of like that thing. And where you have here, he's trying not to listen to them, and then he just says that term.
Yeah, and then
Right.
the audience, they laughed all at
Yeah.
the same time.
Yeah, I mean, this even though it has some really good tense moments and really good action scenes, there was the comedy aspect. Just very is very Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
Guy Ritchie has done that in a sense where he has that balance of good storytelling, good action, good performances, as well as the comedic aspect or
The
the
humor.
humor.
Very cheeky
Yes. Well, was it cheeky?
in certain respects.
Uh,
Because I think it's also that British humor too, because
Okay.
there's like
All right.
it has a sense of properness
Right.
in
Right.
it.
Well, yeah, yeah. Everything pretty much that people who foreign accents, especially English, sounds proper. There's so many really good action scenes and good moments. Like,
But what was your number one? The
see,
one that really just hit it off for you?
A few moments later.
I like when we first meet the crew on the boat and they get infiltrated by the Nazi Navy and what happens there. Then I like when they go to rescue their friend. And then I like it at the end. I like at the end where they're just walking and they're nonchalant. They're in disguise, of course, and they just nonchalantly just come up and handle their business. Like,
Oh, shooting all the soldiers?
yeah, but so casually.
Yeah, like
It's like we see.
they're taking a stroll through a park
Well,
and
yeah, but
they're
the thing is, like a lot of movies, what happens, you see them like the soldiers come in, the Navy SEALs, whatever, and they're like ducked down and they're like hiding
Mhm,
behind trees and like, like tiptoeing across the land and they're,
mhm.
whatever. But no, they're just walking. Again, his camouflage, if you will, is very loose. All it is a leather jacket
Which he
he
he he
stole
took because he
from a
said
dead,
he liked that jacket.
right, and the hat, and
Mhm.
that's it. His partner is a little more dressed for the part, but again, I guess it's dark and it's easier for that to happen,
Well, they were Nazis.
no, I understand, but I'm saying it's dark, so it's kind of hard to see. It's not like in daylight, even
Yeah.
though in daylight they kind of had somewhat of camouflage in their outfits in the sense of wearing some Nazis. But I just like that part where, in a sense, like even though we don't know, probably through the research and stuff like that, that's what probably actually happened. Just walking up, just pop, 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 just keep walking, pop, pop, pop. Don't make a
Mhm.
big fuss out of it. Just keep going, just handle it, and just keep walking. Just like with when they infiltrated during the day, it was just very cavalier. Boom, boom. Of course, they had the arrows to help be silent, not to cover. But then they're just walking, pop, pop. They only got found out because a guy
Yeah.
turned his head to look outside.
Well, and they were playing with the sense of the noise because remember one of the soldiers was working on the
Right, because
engine
right,
that
so it's
was
all
making so
distracting,
much
right? The
noise.
noise is covering the sound of the fire, the gunshots, even
Mhm.
though they have silencers.
Mhm.
So yes, that was also to their favor.
Advantage.
But that reminded me of Predator because there's a scene in Predator where Dutch, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character and team, they're trying to rescue these guys and they're infiltrating and there's a machine going on and there's noise
Mhm.
going on and there's a truck turning the wheel to generate power,
Mhm.
and so it's very easy for them to sneak in that aspect and the noise is covering their movement or their sound, and he moves the truck to move forward, and then all hell breaks loose. That's what it reminded me of. But yeah, it was my favorite moment. It was just very, I had to say that one where they're trying to take the boat. I mean, it's tough because there's those three action scenes, and there's like good moments too, in the sense of even though we know since it's based on a true story that they're gonna make it. Sometimes the heroes don't make it, right?
Yeah.
But these guys did. It's just very tough, very hard to really figure out like the.
Well, they feel like the story moved very well in the sense there were no areas or spots where it was kind of like weird in the way that it transitioned or anything. It just flowed very well.
No, it did. It did. What about characters? Who was your favorite character? Because this is
Mm,
again, it's like an entourage of characters here that were really good.
I mean, that's a real hard one because obviously you would think that Henry would be your favorite pick, obviously because he's the main star.
Mhm.
but it's hard because I like the Asian guy.
Yeah, but
He was
he had a small part, but yeah.
but yet he was the explosives guy. He was the guy that handled the explosives.
Okay, but he had a small part. I mean, for me, he didn't really stand out like the others. He didn't stand out like to me like the Irishman. The Irishman stood out to me more.
Well, and I know the Irishman because he was in the movie after. So I remember him from that, which he was the main character in that movie.
Mhm.
So to see him sort of as a small character in a supporting role, it was nice because it was a different role that he was playing obviously from this times. But it's hard because I mean Marjorie, her role was pretty significant.
Right.
She
No,
had a
but
pretty good
regardless of that, I'm talking about like which character did you enjoy the most?
still that's a difficult one. Just like your favorite moment.
Yeah.
I
I
can't
mean,
really
they were all good. They had their they like what's good about this is like like say X-Men or again Star Wars or whatever in the sense you have like a band of brothers or what have you. They all have their quirks and all that stuff, and so
Mhm,
that makes it each one individual. Marjorie was very intellectual, very
mhm,
cunning. She was almost like a chameleon in that way. You have Gus, who was not the brains of it all, but he was the leader because the guy they were rescuing, his friend, they needed him because he's very good at strategy
yeah,
and stuff like that, and he knows he pretty much he'll he'll allow himself to get captured to gather intel.
yeah,
That was him, Jeffrey. He pretty much allowed himself. Yeah, they said that he got himself get captured, and then he was able to gather intel. But for me, my favorite characters is two: is Anders, which is the Sweden, which was played by Alan Ritchson, and also the Prince.
oh, yes,
I like them, and
Prince,
I forgot to mention him, Danny Sapini. He was a
mhm,
Prince Kabil Kalu. He wasn't really a prince, but I guess that's like he gave himself that title, and
mhm,
he was wanted to get the title of knight.
yeah,
He was good. I like him. He reminded me of was a mixture. He reminded me of my dad in a way, and another actor that I don't love, Keith David. Like I can see Keith David playing this role of this character, same stature, it's like that. Maybe he's a little too old now, but say if he was younger, I could see that role going to Keith David. Really good. I thought he was really cool. I thought that those both cool. I mean, what was cool about like Anders, he was happy-go-lucky, but also like deadly.
yeah,
Like he lived in the moment, which was great. When it's time to work, you work. When it's time to relax, chill, he smiles and stuff like that. I like that. It's very samurai in that way. You never know when you're gonna die, so every moment is as your last, and embrace it. Do you have any weak moments or maybe weak character?
I didn't think Churchill was as strong as I would expect him to be. Well, I could because I guess what distracted me was obviously he had prosthetics, I
Mm,
guess, on or something.
yeah, yeah.
So I think that's what kind of threw me off or was I was focused on more than anything else.
I see your point because yes, Churchill was heavy. I mean, I liked him. I was like, wow. I mean, I don't recognize him
Mhm.
from other things. He's probably done several things that I like smaller roles. Well,
I think it's theater
he
type
was actually. You know
acting.
what? I'm just looking at it now. He was in a few of the James Bond films with Daniel Craig. But again, with the makeup on and the prosthetics, you don't easily recognize him.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought he was great. I think I mean, I never studied Churchill or seen his tapes or what have you. Again, my history knowledge of Churchill, I don't know, but I appreciate it. But I can see your point in that way that kind of weakest or what have you. I mean, everyone was. I mean, this is Guy Ritchie's thing where, and Quentin Tarantino does it too, in Glorious Bastards. Like each character has their personalities, their quirks, their the way they stand out or allows them to stand out. Guy Ritchie has done so many films where there's multiple characters. Snatch, Two Lock, Stocks and Barrels, Rock and Rolla. List goes on. The Gentleman, that's on currently on Netflix.
Mhm.
Like a bunch of characters intertwine into play. Is there a weak character for me? I just wish the villain was more threatening.
Yeah.
That's all. Like he was good. Yes, there was a threat there. There was a stake involved. But I just felt like which is probably bad because I'm comparing it to
Glorious Bastard.
Inglorious Bastards, right? Christopher Waltz, his performance, and I was hoping to see somewhat similarity in that, but I didn't. That his performance was bad. It's just I wanted a little more, and I wanted his death more surprising.
You don't think getting shot in the forehead was surprising
For him,
enough?
yes. But what I'm saying that we see it.
Yeah.
Like I would have liked to have seen just heard the gunshot, see the bullet hole, and then the camera pans to like who shot him. Could have been someone, could have been the bar owner, right? Or someone else that comes in to save the day. But no, it's her. She saves herself. So that's what I would like to have seen. When you point it down, you kind of take away the surprise. Like you kind of notice or know what's going to happen when she starts to separate her legs or separate the dress.
Yeah.
You know,
Pull the dress up.
pull the dress. Yes, and so you're like, something's afoot here.
It signifies the redemption that she got in from killing him because
No,
she is Jewish.
no, I understand, but the thing is, I don't mind that. I mean,
And her grandparents or something like that. It was explained early on that her grandparents were killed by the Nazis.
no, of course,
because of
no, I get it, and it's not that. I mean, I'm glad that she did it, but what I'm saying is like, don't show that she did it right off the bat.
yeah.
I'm just saying, just like who shot him, and then we see it's her
Mhm.
that did it.
Now I do have to mention one thing back to characters. I felt like Mr. Heron, her partner.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I thought his role was pretty good. I thought he did a pretty good job in his role because there was a scene where I literally thought that he was going to get killed. I
Me
thought
too.
that he was just going to that was the end of his
The
part.
generator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that too. I thought like, shoot, but my thing is like, all right, so you just infiltrated enemy territory in that way to plant the bomb, and then you kill the guys. How are you gonna get rid of the bodies? Where do you hide the bodies? Because there's gonna be other soldiers going to walk by that are going to see the body. So like, where do you put? Like, they didn't show that
No.
how he's going to cover it up. But I mean, still, it was good. I was like, and it was also good because his firearm didn't work.
Yeah, that kind of build up to the
The
whole
tension, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I would just say that in the sense that there's probably maybe other weak moments, something like that. But just for me, in the sense of editing or something like that, and drama of the shooting of the takedown of the head Nazi in this movie,
Mhm.
I just wish it was just done a little bit different.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's all.
Now just recalling the fact that when they're trying to escape with the ships
Mhm.
and the Nazi soldiers finally get to the pier or whatever you call it,
Right, right,
and
right.
they start shooting them and everything, and they shooting back and
Mhm,
forth.
mhm.
I kind of felt that was just a little bit drawn out.
Okay. I mean, I guess. I mean, of course, we don't know
And
how
I
actual
guess
it was.
it was kind of building up to that suspense of are they going to make it? Are they not? And it
Mhm.
was just one of those kind of that tut,
Got
going
it.
back and forth.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
And I just felt like they were just kind of pulling out so slow and it just was like,
well, I see what you're saying, but for me, it felt fine because
okay.
like the Nazis they're in chaos because they were trapped, things were on, they didn't know, and then their boat was taken, stolen, and they're not set up.
Mm-hmm.
So you saw them. The only thing that were set up, it was like those large, not cannons, but
Oh,
machine gun thing.
yeah.
Everything else they had to set up, and then they couldn't get the distance right. So that's like, which was good because it's getting a little closer. It's getting a little closer to the ship, and they're willing to sacrifice that ship, even though it was impenetrable.
Mm-hmm.
They can't sink it,
Yeah.
but they're willing to still try to destroy it to stop them from taking it.
Yeah.
So it's better to destroy it than let it be stolen. Yeah, I can see I can see your point of a little drawn out. I mean, I really didn't have any mind about it, but I can see your point about that. I'm just surprised.
It was just a minor it's just a minor thing. It
Right.
wasn't
No, but I see it. Even though Henry Cavill did a great job, it felt like it was just Henry Cavill.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like The Witcher,
Hmm.
where there is a total different persona. It's not necessarily like Superman, but his other roles he has done had there's a similarity, like somewhat like his role as Sherlock Holmes in as Elena Holmes, his the one on Netflix, the one that
Hmm.
he plays the brother, that's her sister.
Yeah.
It was kind of like similar, but a little more refined, where he is a little more unrefined here, but there's like similarities to that. Still
Well,
good.
the character in Enola Holmes,
Nola Holmes, there you go. There you go. Thank you.
his character there is a little more serious, a little more uptight.
Well, I understand, but
And
it's
this one, he's a little
right.
more.
But that's what I'm saying. It felt there was similarities. It was almost like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
It wasn't really that drastic.
Mm.
Now, Anders, that performance totally different than what we know from for Reacher. He's so serious, and here he's like, "Hey, hello, how are you?" And then,
Yeah.
it's like that's a different take. I mean, other characters I'm not really familiar with, so I can't really see the actors. I mean, the difference. Marjorie, we've seen her in similar movies or movies in a similar fashion, but she did a great job. I love that style, the 1940s, 1930s,
Mhm.
that style, the suits and the pencil
Yeah.
skirts and the
Actually,
hair.
I do have
Like,
to commend the costume department because the stylists, the costume people, they did a remarkable job
yeah,
in
it was.
in her outfits and the way she was dressed, her
Mhm.
hair, thing, her
Oh,
makeup.
okay. This is what I found off her singing performance.
Yeah, that was a
It
little.
felt weird. It felt out of place. I was like, whoa, wait, what? But granted, it served this purpose, but I was like, it just felt off.
Yeah, her main point was trying to seduce.
Seduce, attract,
Yeah,
distract.
Heinrich.
So yeah, so there was like all this stuff, but this, she had all these costumes. Like, where did she get all these costumes? They went to like
Well,
a Halloween party, and she has all these costumes.
well,
It
and
was like three. I think she changed three times.
yeah, like that's the first thing that was coming to my mind was the fact that okay, they're on some kind of
Island kind of
island
thing,
somewhere where it's
secluded.
secluded and the fact that how in the world were they able to have all these costumes because there were people like dressed up in really good costumes.
No, hold up. It was Heron's bar place. That's what
Yeah.
it was. So he probably had it since he's been working with her. So he probably had all her clothing. I just remember. So that's where they had that party was his
Yeah,
place.
but even just for the soldiers and all and the guests and everything that were there too,
Mhm.
that they were all in costumes also.
Right, but they probably had accommodations.
Okay.
He probably had accommodations for them. But I'm just saying, because I just remember that she's been working with him and she's staying there. That she has a. I just found it funny though, like though in that time frame, she had time to change in three clothes: the
Mm-hmm.
costume, Cleopatra,
Cleopatra,
and then the singing,
the
and
white dress.
yes, and then I think it was a red dress at the end when she got captured by him. It was another color. It wasn't white.
I think it was white because when she was in the car, she was wearing the white dress.
Oh, was it what? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought it was three. I thought she had three outfits during that time. Okay, fair enough. Now, since, like I said, by the time we're doing this review on Rotten Tomatoes, only the critics has given it a score of 81%. Where do you have it, in your opinion?
What's the highest?
100?
I would probably give it like an 89.
Okay, I would give it 85. In comparison to Inglorious Bastards, which is better?
No, that's a tough one. Probably Glorious Bastards, I guess,
Yeah.
because I hate to say this, there was sort of like a little bit of a flatness, I guess, in certain ways in this movie. Because there were times that it was very predictable.
Mhm. Well, like okay, so in comparison to here, so we got the establishment of the heroes
Mm,
pretty much right off the bat. In Inglorious Bastards, we got the introduction of the villain
yeah,
right off the bat.
yeah,
So we see like who this guy is or how the Nazis are in a sense. This one specifically, how mentally superior he was, and so like we know who we or they are up against. Where here we have yet to find out who we're up against. So there's a little dynamic. So the pacing is set differently.
Yeah.
Like for me, I find this as 85%. I do find Inglourious Basterds a better film, but there's so many Nazi or anti-Nazi films out there. But to me, these two are very similar. Is it worth a watch?
Yes. Definitely worth the watch.
Yes, I do too. Especially with you have the connection or the direct connection to Ian Fleming and James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, you find out that not only some of these people worked together, but they also had a relationship, Gus and Marjorie.
Yeah, there
They
was a
they
little love
became
interest
yes.
there.
I didn't know that they had a relationship. I didn't recognize any chemistry in that aspect until
You
the
did?
credits. No, I didn't really. So like he didn't say hello, darling, or blah blah. I mean, there was some kind of flirt,
Yeah.
but not in a way that I
Well,
was like, oh, there's something there.
probably their relationship grew
Probably, possibly,
after the mission.
possibly, yeah.
That's how they became a. Because did they get married
Yeah,
or?
in the credits, they say they
Yeah.
get married. Anything else? Yeah. All right, guys, that is our movie review of The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Have you seen it? What was your favorite moment? What was your least favorite moment? And as always, if you have a movie or show you'd like us to review, please give us a comment down below. And also follow us on Instagram. Until next time, will be the next time. I'm Angel.
I'm Kimberly.
Love you.
Love you too.